Hello volunteers, I'm Hayley McQueen and I'm going to be your host for the UEFA EURO 2020 Volunteer Kickoff. Over the duration of the session, you'll be introduced to your volunteer management team and get essential training ahead of your missions. On top of that, we've created an exciting show for you, including meeting some people you actually might recognise who've made their own impact in the football world, both on and off the pitch. Now, you can share your experience on social media with us. You just need to use hashtag Euro 2020 volunteers. So grab a selfie, show us your volunteer pack, or just give us a wave. It'll be nice to put a face to some of the names. So let's kick off, shall we? The Euros is one of football's most prestigious events, from the first-time winners Soviet Union back in 1960 to most recent winners Portugal in 2016. We now take a look at the history of this spectacular tournament. Euro 2020 starts on the 11th of June in Rome, with the first match being Turkey up against Italy, and the final taking place in London on the 11th of July. A whole month of matches, 31 to be precise. Now, for the first time in 60 years, the tournament will take place across a number of different countries. Let's have a little look at some of the other cities hosting and meet the tournament mascot, Skillsy. Glasgow won the bid to host the tournament in 2013 and partners have been preparing for this moment ever since. We've got a message from Scottish FA President Rod Petrie.
Hello, my name is Rod Petrie, President of the Scottish FA and Chair of the local organising committee for UEFA EURO 2020 Glasgow. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to your virtual UEFA EURO 2020 volunteer programme kick-off event. Your dedication and commitment to being part of this special event is very much appreciated, especially in these exceptional times. Hosting the Euros is a huge honour for the Scottish FA, Glasgow and Scotland, and having your support in delivering these matches at Hampden Park is invaluable. I hope you enjoy this informative and fun training session, and on behalf of everyone on the UEFA Euro 2020 Glasgow team, thank you.
Well, I love the fact that unlike the rest of us during lockdown Zooms, he actually wore a shirt and tie. What nice words from Rod there. So, volunteers, it's now time to get into your first training segment. Now, you can pause the training at any time, but don't forget to tune back in. You do not want to miss it. Now, I am delighted to introduce you to your volunteer manager for Glasgow, Claire Garrett.
I'm Claire Garrett and it's my privilege to be the volunteer manager for UEFA Euro 2020 Glasgow. The best city in my opinion, even if I'm a bit biased. Together with my team, I'm delighted to bring you this volunteer kick-off, a fantastic milestone for us all to reach after, what I'm sure you'll agree has been quite the journey. Many of you have been in touch with us far back as the end of 2018, as we prepared this unique version of the volunteer programme with UEFA, their biggest and best programme to date, across more cities and with more volunteers than ever before. We launched in June 2019, supported by our ambassador Martin Comston, and we were overwhelmed by the passion, experience and personal stories of our applicants. We conducted 1,500 interviews at our volunteer recruitment centre at Hampden Park, and then followed the difficult task of finalising our numbers. As COVID-19 took hold and the postponement of the Euro was announced, we were again so touched by the dedication and commitment shown by you all. As the next very challenging year unfolded, here we are today, more enthusiastic and eager than ever before, and ready to deliver what will be, without doubt, the most anticipated and celebrated Euro ever. We thank each and every one of you, and we hope that you enjoy this kick-off event. UEFA Euro 2020 is the biggest volunteer programme that UEFA has ever embarked upon for a Euro. It is the 60th anniversary of the tournament, which makes the event more special as it will be celebrated all across Europe. You will be making history by being one of the 12,000 volunteers that will help make this special anniversary edition cement its place in football's history books. Our volunteers here at Hampden Park will help assist UEFA from May 2021 in the crucial period before the tournament begins on the 11th of June. Whether you're joining us in May or right before the first match, you will all be contributing to this historic event. Host City volunteers will be known as Volkswagen Mobility Makers. They will be at the heart of the city celebrations in Glasgow and will be the friendly face of the tournament, ensuring spectators, visitors and our local communities have the best possible experience in Glasgow during the UEFA Euro 2020 tournament. Volkswagen Mobility Makers will deliver the famous Glasgow welcome to spectators in the fan zones, Glasgow City Centre and the walking routes to Hampden Park on match days, and at 3 Central Belt airports. They will be present on all 31 days of the Championship, with numbers scaled up and down depending on activities in the city. They will also deliver key messages to ticket holders, including bag policy, left luggage and various ticket scenarios. As part of your journey, you may have met members of the volunteer management team when you attend the recruitment centre at Hampden Park in 2019. We have Caitlin Kelly, our volunteer coordinator, and Lewis Cameron and Emma Weatherston, our volunteer assistants. Although you will be reporting to your domain-specific manager, when on mission, the volunteer management team is here to support you throughout the tournament and will be your go-to team on venue for any queries or concerns. We will be based at the Volunteer Centre, which you will hear more about later. We will see you all when you collect your uniform. As I mentioned earlier, it has been quite the journey for all of us. We are now in the final stages of your volunteer journey before you come on mission. Volunteer training has now begun, Along with this kick-off, you should have all recently received exclusive access to UEFA's e-learning portal, where you will have a variety of modules about the tournament and your role. The final element of your volunteer training will be your role-specific training, which will take place on venue shortly before your first mission. You will receive more information about your role-specific training session in the coming weeks. Your volunteer training will help you get ready to take on your volunteer mission. E-learning is a fun way to learn all about UEFA, the venue and your role. You can do it at your own pace and refresh your knowledge at any point before the tournament. We understand some of you may have completed some modules in 2020, however we ask that all volunteers complete all of these modules ahead of the tournament to ensure you're up to date and ready for your first mission. Glasgow has been consistently ranked in the top 3 performing cities on e-learning. Let's keep it up and claim that top spot. Before your first mission, you'll be invited to collect your uniform and accreditation. There'll be more information about the importance of accreditation coming up later, as well as a first look at the UEFA EURO 2020 volunteer uniform. The final and most exciting stage of your volunteer journey is, of course, coming on mission. Whether you're based at the airport, the fleet depot, UEFA hotel, or at the stadium itself, we cannot wait to welcome all of you. There'll be more key information coming up later to help you prepare for coming on mission, so stay tuned.
Thanks, Claire. Now, are you ready to meet one of these special guests we've got lined up for you? As Scotland fans go, this next guest, well, is probably up there with the most excitable. He's certainly shown his true nationality with his recent antics on social media. Take a look.
Yeah! Come on! Yes! Come on, Scotland! Yes! Yes!
Again.
And potential for your brave and good.
Please welcome volunteer ambassador and national treasure, Martin Compston. Scotland are through. Line of Duty is going absolutely brilliantly, and my goodness, weren't we loving your social media whilst you were filming and celebrating Scotland's victory and qualification through to the tournament?
Cheers, Ellie. Yeah, it was a really special moment. I mean, that's probably 20 years of heart just pouring out at the same time. You know, it was a wild night. We were on a night shoot, and the job where they were actually pretty good to me. Our little base nearby was a pub, so I could watch the game. But they could give me till 10 o'clock, and of course, I was there prime 10 o'clock, ready to celebrate, and Serbia equalised in the last minute. Of course, Scotland's got to put us through it, and then from then I had to. They just says you've got to start filming. So the only way I could listen to the rest of the game was literally on the car radio while we're filming raids. Power to Steve and the boys. It was an incredible performance out there, and it's just great that we're going to be involved in our own party.
And how special do you think those games are going to be at Hampden?
They're going to. I mean, obviously, with everything's going on, it's pretty heartbreaking that there's not going to be a full house. But just the fact it's going ahead with some sort of fans in there is amazing. You know, we've been waiting on it that long. It'd have been horrendous if there was no people going to be there. But again, just even the lift, the fact that we're going, that it sort of gave the whole country has been astounding. You kind of feel like we're back at the big table. And, you know, I was really lucky. I was living in Glasgow and filming in Glasgow in 2014 when the Commonwealth Games was here. And to be there when you've seen what a buzz was around the city and having all these visitors across the world and being able to showcase Glasgow and Scotland to a global audience was an incredible thing to be a part of. And it was also my American wife's first visit to Scotland, and to see the impression that put on her. And I had to explain to her, Scotland's not always like this. It's not always kind of this buzzing. And as we're here talking about, that's where the volunteers come into their own. You know, they're sort of the face of Scotland and the face of the tournament. They're sort of the point of contact for so many people. So again, it's just something I'm really happy to be a part of, and I hope everybody who's signed up to it really gets the most out of the experiences they possibly can.
Yeah, just staying on that theme with the volunteers. Obviously, you've been battling on trying to work throughout a pandemic. It's not easy for anybody trying to work. And I think we're really appreciating the teams behind the teams, those that don't really get the credit. You're in front of camera and footballers are there, you know, being praised and celebrated. Yet it takes a heck of a lot of work from a heck of a lot of people behind the scenes to make everything work, doesn't it? And it doesn't go unnoticed by yourselves and footballers alike.
Absolutely not. I mean, I don't think people understand what a huge operation on something like a TV show. Obviously, working on football, but just how many people and how many things there are to connect the dots, just so we can get to work each day. And especially in these times, it's so challenging, and everybody in some ways had to retrain at their job.
You're obviously on film sets quite a lot. You have an American wife, so presumably you spend quite a lot of time out in the States as well. Las Vegas, I hear. Not jealous or anything. What do you miss most about home when you're away from home? I know you do still spend a good bit of time back here in Scotland.
Wherever you go across the world, for me, particularly Greenock's always going to be home. But there's just something that's in your bones in Scotland when you get back here off a plane or off a train, and you just feel like home.
And what about that feeling of being at home, of the players walking out at Hampden? You'll, I guess, more than likely be watching it on the TV like me and most of the others, the lucky 12,000 that are in there. Oh, I just couldn't even imagine it. And the lucky volunteers as well. Are you still going to feel as much a part of the tournament, even though we know we can't be there?
I think so. I mean, we're hoping, as you said, it's going to be a lucky 12,000 who are in there. For most of us, it's going to be watching it, but hopefully by the time we get there, because obviously with I was at work when it happened, but obviously with the playoff, it was pretty much full lockdown at that time. Hopefully by then we can at least share it with other people, with our friends, whether it be out someone's back garden, at a beer garden or something. Even with the 12,000 who were going to be in there, there was still only going to be maybe 30,000, 40,000 tickets for the Tartan Army. You've got 5 million odd who want to be in that stadium. So whatever was happening, it was going to be celebrated around the country. So no, it's still going to be a pretty spectacular time. Even like me and a few of my pals, we were planning a road trip to London and Gatecrash, Trafalgar Square and all that kind of thing. And unfortunately, that now seems a bit of a distant dream as well. I don't think we're going to be quite that far down the line, but it's still going to be a really, really special time. And as you say, it's with volunteers, you have both end of the spectrum. You have people who have been in their job for a long, long time, maybe taking time off work and lending their expertise. And you have people at the start of their careers who are going to gain invaluable experience. But they are going to be sort of right in the mix. They're going to be a lot closer to action than the majority of people. It was something my dad used to volunteer at the Scottish Open as being one of the stewards, and I always remember his buzz coming back saying like you gave back like one of the players the ball or something, or one of them waved up for moving a thing. So they're going to get like first-hand experiences that most people can only dream of. A lot of people, being that close to the action. So I'm very jealous of some of them, I have to say, but I'm also very appreciative of them giving up their time. But as you say, I'll definitely have a pint in my hand and cheering them on.
Absolutely. And how optimistic are you for Scotland? Is it a case of just enjoying it and see what happens, or do we feel like
we're going to win it? We're going to win it, obviously. It's we're all based on absolutely nothing. I'm wildly over optimistic. There'll be a magic moment, and that's what I'm looking forward to. Whether it be where we score an equaliser or we go 1-0 up unexpectedly, that will bring sheer joy to everybody, and that's what I can't wait for.
If they were to make a movie about Scotland's qualification, getting to the Euros, and if something special was to happen, who would you want to play?
Probably David Marshall, but I'm not tall enough.
Oh.
But making that save, I mean, that is the sort of iconic moment, and we've all seen the memes with the different songs, like the Titanic. But there was that brilliant moment. I'm actually getting goosebumps here thinking about it, is when he looks to the ref to say, like when he's checking whether his feet were still on the line or not after he dived. And it's just, it just sort of summed up the sort of whole nation of going, is this really happening? Are we really going? Have we really qualified? And it was an amazing moment. And it's one I'll never ever tire of watching. But yeah, I think unfortunately with most Scotland qualified games, it'd be a tragic comedy.
Just finally, it's been a really special year for you, achieving so much with Line of Duty. We've seen the finale of this season as well. I mean, goodness me. Just can you sum up how exciting it has been and the response to this season in particular?
I mean, in some ways, it's funny with the show that it's just become this huge machine that's sort of way out with our control now. You know, even the build up to before we started, it's just really intense. I think what was exciting for us, because who knows if genuinely we don't know if we'll come back. That's always up in the air. That's the way we've done it since series one. We take time after the series, kind of let it digest and see how it goes, and then make a decision a couple of months down the line. But I think what's really exciting from us was we had this huge audience to start with, and then as these things, they kind of level out a bit, and then by episode 5, again, we had our highest overnight audience ever. To show we can come back sort of that strong mid-series, 10 years in, I think it was just exciting for us to see that we hadn't sort of ran out of ideas. The show hadn't run out of steam. You know, people still loved it. Actually, as I was saying, literally more people than ever love it. So it's been astounding, sort of overwhelming, and it's not something we take for granted, you know. So just everybody who's been there from the start, everybody who's joined, and everybody who's just sort of now can figuring it out and going through all these bent coppers, just thanks very much.
And there's got to be big thanks from you, isn't there, to the volunteers getting involved in this. So what would your message be to them about trying to enjoy and relish the experience?
That would be the main thing, Hayley, I would say today. Enjoy it, you know, to be part of something which Scotland has never put on before is an incredible thing that this country is going to be. We're all going to, it's kind of weird, again, for me to kind of say this, because I still in some ways don't feel that this is real. Scotland are hosting the Euros and Scotland are playing in it. And to say you're going to be a part of it is something you'll keep with you for the rest of your life. To say I was there when, you know, and the anticipation that these magic moments are still to come, and that you could see something pretty historical in what's to come. Because the next thing is we hadn't qualified in 20 years. We've never made it out the groups. I've got a sneaky feeling that we might. So for all these volunteers who are sort of making this massive operation behind the scenes a reality, and sort of making all us relax so we can just sit down and watch it the telly, just a massive thank you.
Martin, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
Cheers, Ellie. Thanks very much.
Martin very kindly helped us with the recruitment campaign for the volunteers, and pre-lockdown we caught up with some of you in person to find out more about your volunteer journey.
Well, this is the biggest event that I've ever volunteered at, so I'm really looking forward to it, because as much as I've volunteered at events in the past, this seems to be, in terms of scale and the magnitude of people that are going to be coming and going, it is definitely the largest thing I've ever done.
It gives me a buzz to know that I'm helping a community rather than helping myself.
So the thing I'm looking forward to the most is I want to ensure that everyone who comes to sort of watch the games and have that overall experience, I want to ensure that they have the best possible experience, because I want everyone to feel the power of football and how it brings people together in this ever falling apart world.
Well, the thing I'm going to look forward to the most is seeing the whole set up from a different perspective. I'm usually the one in the terraces, singing, you know, shouting, crying, and I'm going to be the one watching these people go through all these emotions, hopefully, and just to see it from that angle, you know, and see what it's like.
I think the first ever Euros I remember, bear in my mind, I was born in '99, so 2004 Euros, when Greece played Portugal in the opening game, I think, and I remember sitting in the house, we're having a barbecue, I think, and nobody else in the house was in the slightest bit interested, and I was sitting with I was a wee guy with a massive big broadsheet newspaper checking all the fixtures for the next month.
Probably Euro 96. I was down at Villa Park for the Holland game. My first experience of an away match with Scotland. That was a long time ago, Euro 96, and I went with my big brother.
Regardless of whether it's been involved with volunteering in the youth work side of things or volunteering in sport, there's always differences, but the similarities are that I usually enjoy it regardless. I enjoy working and meeting new people, and I always stay in touch, which is quite good, but it's always usually really fun and you get to feel the energy from everyone else, so that's what I'm looking forward to.
I was a volunteer in a charity in the north of the city, gardening and cooking, and I eventually became a gardener, and I was teaching people, vulnerable people in the community, gardening skills and life skills, and I got a lot of satisfaction from that.
I help people who have learning difficulties to learn how to ride the bikes, for example. That's one of them. I can't name everything I have been doing as a volunteer, but that's one of them, and I feel like helping the community have been always for me a positive impact, bring a positive impact to me.
They just like to see that I'm involved in football. They know how much it is a passion of mine and how I put it through them just to get involved. But yeah, they're buzzing about it.
My son is a very, very big fan of football. And then when I told him I was successful for this big event now, he was even saying, "Oh, Mommy, I will go and write everywhere that you have really been a star for all the sport event." So he's really proud.
I would say the inspiration for me behind signing up was being a part of, such a big event. It's not often something like this comes to Scotland or the UK in general, to be fair. So being able to say I was a part of, Euro 2020 and its anniversary year and stuff like that as well. And obviously, it's not often you can say you've been such a central part of it and been involved in such a big team right across Europe as well.
I was inspired to volunteer because I want to be part of something that's going to be fantastic for the city of Glasgow.
Growing up as a kid in India, football has been a big, big part of my life, whether it was playing for school, helping out with the community school, and even just helping organize local tournaments. Football's been a massive part of who I've been and who I've become as a person. And the reason I'm volunteering at the Euros is because I know that such an international event has the ability to impact so many people across the entire planet. I wanted to be a part of something bigger.
It's, as I say, it's one of my bucket lists. I've always wanted to do something like this, so that's probably one of my main reasons to volunteer.
Well, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I think, because Scotland's never had the chance to showcase a major tournament. This could be the last time it ever happens. It's certainly the first time, and you just don't pass up an opportunity to do your bit and get involved.
Buongiorno folks! My name is Pier Pascal Rotonda and I'm the UEFA venue manager in Glasgow. I have been told that you are the best volunteer in Scotland. In fact, Hampton Park would be the best venue of the Euro. I hope you will enjoy your training video and I can't wait to see you on site at the venue. You, the volunteer, will make the Euro 2020 unforgettable. Together we will deliver the best Euro ever, so that at dawn we will win. All'alba vincerò, vincerò, vincerò. Ciao!
Yeah, Yeah, doesn't he seem like such a fun guy? And no doubt see Pierre Pascal on site at the stadium, so be sure to give him a wave when you do. Claire, back to you.
Thanks, Hayley. There will be a wide variety of groups and key stakeholders on venue who will all play a vital role in delivering the event. The main venue team will be made up of a variety of different workforce types. There will be staff from both the Scottish FA and UEFA, volunteers who sit under the Scottish FA and contractors from multiple organisations. We are all here to make sure, with the world watching, that all matches go according to plan, and Glasgow shows once again it is one of the world's top sporting cities. As you can see, there are a huge number of departments and areas that come together to deliver an event like UEFA Euro 2020. As a volunteer, you will be part of one of 22 domains operating on venue, alongside key partners and stakeholders. Here you can see a summary of all of the domains in venue, but please note that not all domains will have volunteers. Some domains will be made up of contractors only, and others a mixture of staff and contractors. In order for us to deliver the best service and standards, we all must play by the same rules, just like players on a pitch. Where we are faced with problems or challenges on venue, let's approach solutions with creativity and innovation. Not every task may be exciting, but it will definitely be important regardless. Approach every task with passion. We promise to be transparent in everything we do. We are ready for this. You're ready for this. Be confident. Connect and share this once-in-a-lifetime experience with those around you.
This next guest has played for Scotland, been part of the coaching team and scored what could possibly be one of the greatest ever Scotland goals.
Oh, Scotland go for an effort again! He's done it again! James McFadden scores for Scotland! France are stunned and Scotland lead in Paris! And who else but James McFadden?
James McFadden, delighted to have you here in the city of Glasgow. We've got Hampden Park not too far away from where we are right now, about to get ready to host games for Euro 2020. Scotland are going to be there, finally. Just how excited is it?
Yeah, it's very exciting. I think that it's been a long time coming. I didn't think we'd have to wait this long, but now it's obviously really close to being here. Ever since that penalty shootout victory, it's been party time, if you like, and can't take my mind off it.
Yeah, how has it felt since then? Of course, you were in the studio doing the game, of course, live, post-match broadcasting. You were very emotional as well.
Yeah, I was, because I understand what it means to everyone. Obviously, when I played, I would have loved to have got there, but I think just every campaign that comes up, it's always the pressure of we haven't qualified, we probably won't qualify, and to actually get over the line, it was really emotional. It was emotional seeing the players. It was emotional seeing the guys and the staff that have maybe experienced it before, or have maybe coming towards the end of their career. So it means a lot for everyone. You see it, the pictures, you see it, everybody that's involved, what it means to them, but also the people at home, the people that have a whole generation that's missed out on it. A lot of fans or football fans that maybe don't take the national team as seriously or as passionately as we would like, and hopefully that can bring more fans, but can also show them that we can go to the party, we can go and enjoy ourselves. It's been too long, too many times you're watching the home nations going and playing in the Euros and not being there, having a miserable holiday, looking at all the fans enjoying themselves. So it's good to have something to look forward to. And for the players, it's a fantastic achievement, and I hope that we can go there and give a good account of ourselves.
And how special is it, not only Scotland part of Euro 2020, but the games are going to be held at Hampden Park?
I think that's the most important thing. When it was announced that it was going to be these multi-cities that were hosting the event, it sounded great, but you're a Scotland fan, so you're thinking, how bad would it be if we got the games at Hampden and we never got to play in them? So to go, and that's pressure as well for the players, to have that burden of, right, if we qualify, we've got games at Hampden, we know that we've got home games. Obviously we didn't understand or didn't realise the fans or the situation we were going to be in, but we're going to have fans in the stadium, we're going to have home games, it's going to be brilliant to see, And I really can't wait for it.
It's going to be a little bit different for the volunteers that signed up. It's going to be such a special occasion for them, but goodness me, they're going to have to deal with an awful lot more than they thought they were signing up for during a pandemic.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of them would have felt they could go and sneak in and watch some of the games when they signed up. But it is going to be tough. It's going to be a really important role for them, and hopefully they can get to sample a good atmosphere, because for so long it looked like there maybe weren't going to be any fans, and that would have taken away from the experience. But the fact that the government have committed to 12,500 fans is absolutely brilliant, and it's great for the volunteers that can go and help out and be part of that experience as well.
I'm sure it's going to feel like more than 12,000 fans, isn't it, at the time, especially the Scotland fans, with knowing how vocal they are too. How special is it, that atmosphere at Hampden?
It's really special, and I think that 12,000 fans will be allowed in the stadium, but there'll be far more outside the stadium and in and around the streets. Hopefully, the restrictions will be a lot lesser by then. And hopefully the fans that get in the stadium can make noise, because I was a big campaigner for Hampden to be kept as a national stadium because of my experiences there. The atmosphere when the fans have got something to cheer about is electric. It's amazing, and I just hope that the fans there can make as much noise as possible.
What's it like scoring at Hampden?
Yeah, it's special. I think that growing up as a kid, you're dreaming of scoring cup finals, you're dreaming of scoring goals for Scotland. When you get into the professional game, you still hope that you can do it, but you're probably just concentrating on doing what you're doing. I came through at Motherwell, and to think that I managed to get through and score goals and play for Scotland at Hampden is unbelievable. I grew up, and the saying in Scotland is the Hampden Roar, and I never really understood what that meant until I played at Hampden. And the game kicks off, there's a silence, then there's a huge roar that echoes around the stadium. So to actually play at Hampden is a privilege, and to have managed to score there on a few occasions is unbelievable.
We can't obviously speak to you without mentioning that famous goal at the Parc des Princes against France, none other than France. And it wasn't just any old goal, was it? It was a particularly special goal. Do you look at that differently now that you're sort of away from the game as a player to how you were experiencing it at the time? And what are your memories of that?
Yeah, I do, because at the time, it was an important game in our campaign, the qualifying campaign. It was a game where we'd obviously beaten France at home. No one expected it. And to go and have any chance of doing the double against France, no one would have given us any hope. But we went into the game with belief. We were on a good run, and we just knew the strength of our team. Yet they had world superstars, they had world-class players all over the pitch, but we knew, we had confidence in our team, we had real belief. We went there with no fear at all. We knew that if we could defend, and we had to defend. Craig Gordon was outstanding. I mention it all the time. Graham Alexander up against Frank Ribery. Graham was coming to the tail end of his career, not blessed with pace, against a young Frank Ribery who was absolutely lightning, and he was outstanding. But to a man, everybody was brilliant. In training, the balls were kind of flying everywhere. It didn't take much effort, so I thought, if I get a chance to shoot, I'm going to shoot. And I knew that I was getting to the stage. I was playing as a lone striker. Usually you get to maybe the 70-minute mark and the manager wants to freshen it up, some fresh legs. So I thought, I'm running out of time here. I need to try and get my shot away. And thankfully, I managed to get my shot away. The reaction, I think, was incredible. I love watching your dad's reaction as well. Fantastic. And the commentary, and just, I think the whole occasion, it was fantastic. But as a player then, my mind was just on the next game. My hope was that don't make it about one game, one performance, one goal in a campaign that promised so much. So I knew that we still had a job to do, and unfortunately we never managed to do it. But looking back now, I'm extremely proud. It was a great, as I say, the team performance. Everybody speaks about me scoring a goal, but the truth is I was tired. I couldn't be bothered running anymore, and I just wanted to get a shot away. But
the games at Hampden are of course going to be very special, but looking at that game against England at Wembley, just sum up how you would feel as a Scotland fan, as a player heading towards the stadium.
We're going to upset. We're going to cause an upset because England it's geared for England to have a successful tournament. The amount of games they have at Wembley, the fact that we need to go to Wembley is geared to favour England. that suits us. We can go there knowing that we can cause an upset. Everyone can look forward to it because although it's an old rivalry and we'd love to beat England and England would love to beat us, we can go knowing that it will be an upset if we win. No one will expect us to go and get anything because you look at England's players, you know, we're trying to find a group of players that we can take, and there's maybe, you know, a question mark over 2 or 3 players, you know, 2 or 3 positions within the squad. You look at the talent in the England squad, the players that they will have to leave out would still do well in a tournament. So they're favourites, and we like that. We'll go there and we'll look forward to upsetting them. And I think we'll do it. You know, I think we've got a strong unit. We've got a good defensive organisation to frustrate them, and we've got good players that can cause them problems going forward as well.
We're very lucky that we're both working in football. I'll get to be a little part of it, might not be in the stadium. You hopefully will, co-commentating on the games. But it's a pretty big deal and pretty special, isn't it, to be a volunteer at the heart of a tournament at your national stadium in your home country in Glasgow.
Yeah, I think that's crucial. You know, you see yourself if you're presenting, you hear the commentators and all the things that are, you know, in front of the camera that you see and you hear. But there's more to it than that. You know, the build up, the staff members that you don't see, the volunteers, they're crucial. They're a crucial part of what we're doing. You know, the tournament doesn't happen without the volunteers. It can't, because there's too many, or hopefully there'll be too many fans. There's too many things that need to happen for the game to go ahead, or the games to go ahead. So it's a chance for these volunteers to be part of it, and everybody will play their part, and it'll be part of their experience. It's something they'll never be able to, no one can take away from them. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to the tournament. I'm delighted it's in Glasgow. You asked me if I've been thinking about it. I have been, but then you've got other things on, but now I'm actually speaking about it. I can't wait for it.
Yeah. Right. We have some questions from some of the volunteers. So hopefully if you're watching and your name crops up, thank you very much for helping with my job of asking some really good questions. We have Fraser Gordon, who's going to be volunteering, looking after accreditation. He says, if you could pick one player from your Scotland days to play at Euro 2020 this summer, who would it be? Obviously there's yourself, but...
Well, if I could pick one, it would be myself, just to experience it.
But if you can't?
If I can't, where do we need a player? That's a good question, actually. I think that's too tough. That's too tough a question.
Doing an injustice to those that are in the squad right now.
Because you know, I mentioned that in the group that I played, or the groups that I played in, and it was about the team. Yeah. And every member of that squad. I know people would love an answer, but I don't think I could pick one person, because whether it's talent, whether it's what people deserve, or I think it's too hard to answer.
Okay. Alison Burns in ticketing says, what's your funniest story from being with the Scotland squad? I'm sure there's many, and I'm sure there's some you probably can't tell us about, but what's your funniest?
Funniest? Oh, we used to have, like, as I said, it was a club, it was like a club atmosphere, so you used to have a laugh. I remember, it's not funny as in you'll laugh out loud, but I remember when we were playing Italy for the final game, if we'd have won that game, we'd have qualified, and we were training at Dumbarton, and we were training, it was a couple of days to the game, so the intensity's so high, the pressure's building, all you're thinking about is this game and making sure you prepare properly. And at Dumbarton, there's like a fence round, there's only one stand, so there's a fence all the way around, but there was a van and 3 guys were stood on the van, and I just thought they're just fans what watch training. So as we're training, everything's getting quite serious, and Art McLeish's went, right boys, just stop and wave to the boys in the van. And I'm like, Gaffer, massive game at the weekend, stop training and wave to the fans. He's like, no, it's the Italians are spying on us. Just give them a wee, wave. And I was like, I mean, there's loads of occasions where you had time for a laugh. It was hard work, but you spent, back then it was 10, 12 days together, and you were in a hotel in Cannon House, middle of nowhere. So you spent a lot of time, you had a lot of laughs, but you're right, there's a lot of them I can't tell you about.
Okay. John McVeigh, Broadcaster Services. So, hi John. He says, other than your winning goal against France, What's your favourite goal by a Scotland player?
Favourite goal by a Scotland player? Oh, that's tough as well. I'm not sure. I'd probably have to go, and Ali McCoist won't thank me for it, back to my childhood for Euro 96. I think when Ali scored the goal against Switzerland, it gave us that hope that we could actually make it out of the group stages. So I will probably go for that, because off the top of my head, that's what I would go to.
Okay. Mine, by the way, Gordon McQueen, leaping header at Wembley against England.
Right, I'll take that then. You used to warn me before, I would have said that.
There you go. Just feeding you with that. Okay, we have Laura Daly, who is volunteering for VIP Hotel Welcome Desk. And she says, if you could compare the feeling of standing in Hampden with the national anthem playing to any other feeling in the world, what would it be and why? Oof.
I think that when you're a kid, you dream about playing football and doing the best you can, and that's what I used to do. So to go and be first of all selected for Scotland, you know, is a huge privilege. But to stand, having been in the stands and watching it and singing, you know, along as a fan, to actually be stood there is incredible. I always remember before every game, and I did anyway, but before every game, my mum would always say to me, make sure you sing, and make sure that if anybody else isn't singing, you get them to sing, because I think we do better when we're singing. So I always sang the anthem, and it's just, it's hard to describe, you know. It's pure pride that you stood there representing your country, especially at Hampden, when it's full, knowing that you're going out to do exactly what you love. It's hard to describe. You know, I've had a lot of things throughout my career and my life, but it's hard to describe how that feels, knowing that you're stood there representing your country. So it's hard to compare it to anything without upsetting people.
Exactly. I'll stop it there just in case Mrs. McFadden and the kids are watching.
Yeah. No.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thanks for having me.
Enjoy it. Now it's over to Caitlin, your volunteer coordinator.
There will be a lot happening on venue from the start of May. The key operational dates are shown here. The Accreditation Centre will be open on the 13th of May, but please note you will be invited to collect your accreditation. Please do not just turn up to the Accreditation Centre before your invitation. All volunteers will require an accreditation to be on venue from the 13th of May. More on this later. On the 17th of May, UEFA assumes control of Hampden from the Scottish FA and will control the stadium until the 6th of July. The outer security perimeter, known as the OSP, will be completed and pedestrian screening will be in place from the 7th of June. The 4 matches will be the busiest and most highly controlled days on venue, and operations may differ to non-match days. We will explain more on this shortly. Following the last match, we will begin what is known as bump out and removing all temporary overlay. A number of domains will still have volunteers on venue between the 30th and 6th of July. The outer security perimeter is in essence a large fence surrounding the stadium. The OSP is multifunctional. It protects different assets on site, allows control of who comes in and out, and ensures we are aware of how many people are on site in the stadium footprint. The OSP provides a layer of protection to the event as an extension of the regular operational perimeter for Hampden Park. Everything inside the OSP, the fence, is under UEFA's exclusive control during the exclusivity period. Once inside the OSP, it will be one of the safest places in Glasgow. The red line on the map shows the outer security perimeter that will be in place for the tournament. The OSP fence will be built between the 1st and 7th of June and will then be in place for the duration of the tournament. From the 7th of June, the outer security perimeter will be fully secured and the venue will only be accessible via pedestrian screening area or a vehicle screening area, and all persons visiting the site will require an accreditation or ticket in the case of spectators. If you are scheduled to be on mission between the 13th of May and the 16th of May, you will need to report to the Stadium Security Office, located at the West Roadway at Leatherby Drive, highlighted on the map. Walk down the ramp and through the pedestrian doorway. The Security Office is situated right at the entry point. Please ensure you are wearing your accreditation when you arrive on mission. security will ask to check your pass on arrival. When you arrive at the security office, a temperature check will be conducted using a handheld temperature device. To make your way to the volunteer centre, please exit back out via the roadway, turn right towards Somerville Drive and then right again onto Hanningshaw Place. The volunteer centre is situated on the north-east side of the stadium opposite Tory Glen Football Centre. For missions between the 17th of May and the 6th of June, the entry point will be at the front door of the stadium at the main stand. When you arrive on venue, please make your way first to the main entrance. You will need to display your accreditation, which will be scanned by a member of security. Please note, having your accreditation scanned is different to checking in via your V-app. These are two separate requirements for different purposes. When leaving the venue at the end of your mission, please ensure you leave via the main entrance and have your accreditation scanned on exit. To make your way to the volunteer centre from the main entrance, please exit via the main door and turn right and make your way around the west side of the stadium, again towards Somerville Drive and then right again onto Hanningshaw Place. For missions from the 7th of June to the 30th of June on non-match days, there will be two entry points available to volunteers, entrances C and entrance M&S, which stands for media and staff. Both entrances are highlighted on the map. As always, you will be required to be wearing your accreditation. From the 6th of June onwards, pedestrian screening will be operational. More information about this is coming up soon. Once you have entered via entrances C or M&S, please make your way to the volunteer centre on the signposted pathways. When finishing your mission, please leave via the entrance C or M&S again, where your accreditation will be scanned on exit. On match days, the entry points differ to non-match days. What you can and can't bring to the venue on match days will also differ to non-match days, but we will explain more about this shortly. Please remember on match days, the stadium, surrounding areas and pedestrian screening areas will be significantly busier, so please ensure you allow yourself plenty time to arrive and go through the PSA.
In every match, there's always one person who has everyone's eyes on them, no matter which team they support. The referee. His decisions can sometimes make or break a fan and sometimes a player's hearts. Now, this next guest certainly knows how to deal with the pressure of all that. Mark Clattenburg, the man in the middle, delighted to see you. What an exciting summer we've got ahead of us, particularly for Scotland fans. How are you feeling about it all?
I think it's really exciting. You know, I know it's 12 months later than it was originally planned because of the COVID, of course, but at least now UEFA have the plans in place to allow the tournament to go ahead. And I've probably been the longest ever match official to ever hold that he's refereed the final, because normally it's every 4 years, but now it's 5 years. So at least I'm the last referee to ever referee a Euro final. There you go. You see, winning awards already. Right. For the volunteers who are watching in on this, they're probably going to want to know, how did you get into refereeing? How did you make that decision? I think it's like every other referee in the world, that every referee wanted to play football, and unfortunately I wasn't that good at it to make it in the professional game. So I tried something different, and it was my school teacher who said one day, he said, "Mark, you're not going to make it as a professional footballer. Why not try a refereeing?" I thought, why not? It's the next best thing. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made, because as a football player, I would never been able to ever walk on amazing or go inside amazing stadiums around the world. And being as a referee, I've had that massive opportunity in life. So one of the best decisions I ever made. I mean, it's tough, isn't it? Because you not only have a high pressure job, it can be quite lonely, can't it? It was very, very difficult when I first started refereeing, because Haley, you're right, you were massively on your own. Yes, you had your parents when I was a young referee, then you had supportive friends. But when you're in the grassroots football, it's very, very difficult because you're very isolated. But the further up the pyramid system you go as a referee, the more protection you get. You have two assistants to work with you. Then you have your fourth officials. In the Euros, I had 2 additionals behind the goal. So I had massive support. And then we had the psychologists who would also help in the Premier League, but also UEFA and FIFA used to provide them for tournaments, because tournaments are not the easiest to officiate, even though everybody sees the exciting times. You know, tournaments are 4 or 5 weeks long, and mentally it's very, very difficult, because at the start everybody's excited, by the end, everybody's mentally drained.
What kind of pressure is that in terms of the difference between officiating for a club and a team in a tournament and sort of heading into sort of a huge tournament where you know the world's eyes are watching?
Yeah, I remember back in 2016, the build-up, I was lucky because I'd refereed the Champions League final a few weeks before, so I was still on a major high. And going into a tournament, it's uniquely different. And when a team loses 1-0, they have a chance to recover. If a referee makes a mistake in a tournament, they're out. That's the way life goes as a referee. So you have to build, it's a bit like a team, you build momentum where you don't want to make a mistake in your first match. I remember doing Belgium-Italy first match and it went well. So it makes you confident going into your next match. And that's what you have to do, because at the end of the day, you never know you're going to ever referee the final. You just hope, but you also need luck along the way. I needed England to lose, which they did against Iceland. And then I had a bit of a scare when Wales beat Belgium. And then I had to hope that Wales also lost, so I could referee the final because of the home nation. So you have a lot of factors that you can't influence. But when you're a referee, you've just got to keep focused on one game at a time and try and have the best game you can.
Now, my goodness, the one thing that we have been talking about nearly every single morning after a football match, and the games are coming thick and fast, particularly in the Premier League right now and the Scottish Premiership because of COVID, is VAR. It's become a bit of a nightmare. We all wanted technology to help the game, but there are still problems with it. How are you feeling about it ahead of UEFA Euro 2020?
I'm a big believer of VAR. Not from a refereeing point of view, it can save your career. We had a situation many years ago when Ireland played France, and there was a Swedish referee, missed a handball by Thierry Henry, and it finished his career. So if it saves a referee's career, then I'm all positive for it. The problem you have with VAR and the technology is it's how much everybody wants to use it. It has its benefits. It's just how it's being used. And some people want it used every decision when it's subjective. Other people would say, is it clear and obvious? So there's so much inconsistencies. And I think one of the biggest problems that we have at the moment is when we've got offside situations where they're so tight and the margins are very, very, we're talking millimeters. And it spoils the emotion when a goal's scored that a player can't celebrate, or they wait until the VAR checks over. And it seems to have spoiled the wonderful game that we love watching when a player scores in the pure emotion. And that's what's something that FIFA and IFAB, who control the VAR, have to solve, because if they don't solve it, we're going to have situations in the Euro 2020 that we're going to see situations where we're not going to see the raw emotion, and that's what people want to see.
A lot of credit has to go right now to the people working behind the scenes, quietly going about their jobs, maybe working 10 times harder than they've ever had to before to try and make things happen.
It's going to be an incredible event, because, like you said, Hayley, everything that's happened over the last 12 months has changed, not just the tournament itself, but changed how we actually go about our working day and our normal lives. So everybody's going to have to adapt, especially for this tournament coming up, including the volunteers, how how they wear the masks, how they organize things, how they keep the social distancing, fans going inside the stadium, people inside the VIP areas. There is so much, things that people are going to have to do. And what we'll have to do is we'll have to learn, we'll have to gain from experiences when the tournament starts, how we can improve things, because at the end of the day, this is a new thing. It's going to be a huge, huge feast. But what I'm looking forward to is how these people behind the scenes, where people don't really see. And I remember in Euro in 2016, how the volunteers made everybody safe going into the stadiums, coming out the stadiums, how the organisation was done. And that's how, the tournament runs so smoothly. Yes, the football is what we actually watch, because that's what we love. But what goes on behind the scenes is incredible. And without them people, the tournament couldn't go ahead.
How do you think Scotland are going to do this summer?
Come on, you shouldn't be asking this question when you're in England's group, of course. England, Scotland, for example, will be a great occasion for everyone that, you know, I know how Scotland, they travel in their numbers to watch the games. So Scotland will need the energy from the spectators, of course, inside the stadiums, because we've seen many times this season where, you know, teams aren't at their full potential when they haven't got that, what we call the 12th man, the spectators behind them. So Scotland need that energy if they're going to do well. But I feel there's going to be a big surprise this year in the Euro. I think because of what's happened over the last 12 months, the extended of the season, players haven't really had any rests. And I just think there's going to be a big shock this year. I think there's going to be a team that we don't expect can do very, very well. Is it going to be Scotland? I doubt it, but we never know. We never know.
What would you say to potentially some of the volunteers out here who are maybe using this as an opportunity to think about a different career, maybe even refereeing themselves?
One of the most important things is, and what I liked even when I first started refereeing, was I did it to keep fit, keep active, and that was one of the things. I didn't want to be, you know, sitting around the house. I wanted to be active, being on the pitch. So it gave us a chance to keep fit, but also it allowed us to have some management skills. So give us some people skills, how to deal with people, how to manage football matches, and that gave us also good tools for later in life. And some other tips that I used to have was I used to set myself goals every year to try and achieve achievable goals, of course, where I would say that I would like to referee this junior final, or I would like to do this, or I would like to referee a semi-final of a Champions League, and try and achieve it. And if you keep setting yourself small goals, you have a better chance to achieve it. It's when you try and set too big of a goals, some of it's unachievable, and then you feel down when you don't achieve them. Certainly refereeing is one of the most difficult, I would say, professions in the world, where every decision that you make is being talked about in every pub, every restaurant, everybody's homes around the world, and you don't have a speaking part. And that's one of the most difficult things as a referee, that you can't answer back to a lot of the criticism, which a lot of it is subjective, unfortunately, but you have to deal with it.
And just finally, what do you most look forward to ahead of heading into a big tournament?
Just the first thing is to get there. I loved when the first day, it's like being a first day at school. You get your new kit, you meet everybody, everybody's raring to go, everybody's looking forward to the first round of fixtures. That's probably one of the most important things when you get to a tournament, is the first round of fixtures. Who gets the first match? Are you going to be appointed to the first match? Because the first match is one of the most important, because it sets the tone for the tournament. So it's the excitement going in, but then after a while, like I said before, after a while everything just becomes normal, and then you're just trying to survive as long as possible by trying to give the best performance you can.
Absolutely. Mark, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed for sparing the time. Wishing you all the very best of luck.
COVID protocols for the tournament have been created in line with government guidelines. Should there be any dispensation to current government guidelines on venue, you will be notified by the volunteer management team. Please remember that if you're experiencing any COVID symptoms, namely a high temperature, a new continuous cough, a loss of or change to your sense of smell or taste, do not come to venue. Inform the volunteer management team by email or phone as soon as possible. Remember that COVID-19 affects different people in different ways. Before arriving at the stadium for your mission, please ensure you have completed the mandatory epidemiological form, known as the EPA form online. All staff, volunteers and contractors coming onto the venue will be required to complete the form. Please be aware that if you have not submitted the EPA prior to arriving on venue, your accreditation will not be accepted by security, and you will be asked to move away and complete the form before entering. The EPA form asks you to confirm that you do not have any COVID-19 symptoms, to your knowledge are not currently positive, and you have not been in contact with anyone who has tested positive in the last 14 days. If you have any problems completing the EPA form online, please contact the volunteer management team or speak to a member of security on arrival. The volunteer management team will communicate more details about the EPA form via email before your first mission. Please ensure you always follow government guidelines throughout your volunteer mission with us, particularly when travelling to venue. Volunteers should only visit the venue when they have a scheduled mission or training or to collect uniform and accreditation when invited to do so. Ensure you are familiar with the entry point and route you need to take to enter the stadium for your mission. Be prepared to have your temperature checked on arrival. There will be various signage around the stadium advising you of the stadium rules and policies in place. Make sure you familiarise yourself and follow any rules and policies in place. If you're ever in any doubt, please ask a member of staff or security. If your temperature is above 37.8 degrees Celsius, then you will be asked to return in 10 minutes for a reassessment. If above 37.8 degrees Celsius twice, you will be asked to return home and follow Scottish Government advice. In the event you are asked to return home, please contact the volunteer management team via your V-app to let the team know you will be unavailable. Always wear a mask covering your nose and mouth whilst at your mission's location unless you're exempt. You will be provided with 5 disposable masks each day you're on mission. Keep these masks with you at all times so you always have spare. Please ensure you dispose of your masks in the general waste bins provided around the stadium and do not leave used masks lying around. Maintain 2 metres social distance at all times, including during breaks and downtime. The stadium has a dispensation for 1.5 metres from the 14th of May. This should only be utilised where it is not possible to remain at 2 metres. Wash your hands regularly with soap and water for 20 seconds throughout the day. There will be a number of hand sanitising stations around the stadium. Please use these regularly to sanitise your hands between hand washes. Cough or sneeze into a tissue or the crook of your arm. Tissue should be immediately disposed of in the bins provided. Avoid touching your face with your hands. If you become unwell with the symptoms of COVID-19 whilst on site, do not touch anything and safely leave the site. Please make sure that your domain manager and volunteer management team are notified of the situation as soon as reasonably practical. Following this, please ensure you follow government guidelines. In order to protect yourself and others around you, it is your responsibility to keep to the hygiene and social distancing measures when you are not on mission. It is imperative to the success of the event that all COVID protocols are followed by everyone.
All of the pedestrian screening areas, known as PSAs, are operated by our security team and will be operational from the 7th of June. The procedures at PSAs operate just like airport security. Please follow the steps below every time you enter via a PSA. Depending on the entry point used, the search and scan procedure will vary. At all PSAs, ensure you're wearing a face mask or face covering as you pass through the PSA and thereafter. Remove your jacket and bag. At entrance M&S, place your personal belongings, which have any metal objects such as jewellery, in the tray to be screened. Step into body scanner when instructed to do so. If required, step forward when asked to do so for a body scan with a wand by member of security. At entrances A and C, there will be no body or bag scanners. The stewards will utilise a handheld metal detector and visual check of your bag may be required. Again, if asked by security team, step to one side for further search. Please make our security team aware of any prescription medication you need to bring into venue with you. Essential medication will be permitted. PSAs can be very busy during peak times at the start of missions. Please ensure you arrive at the venue, allowing plenty of time to go through the PSA each day. We recommend allowing 15 minutes to pass through the temperature check and PSA and a further 15 minutes for your visit to the volunteer centre before your mission start time. A prohibited item is anything that contravenes UK law and is not allowed into the venue. A restricted item is not considered illegal under UK law, however it's still not permitted inside the venue. It is an offence to take a controlled container into a sports ground during a designated sporting event. There are no storage facilities on venue, so please only bring to venue what you need for your mission. A full list of stadium rules can be found on the Euro 2020 website. Volunteers may bring their UEFA EURO 2020 backpack to venue on non-match days only. Bringing a bag to venue, you must enter via entrance M&S. The policy is no bags on match day, however if required, you may bring essential items in your small waste bag. We recommend that you do not bring any personal items onto venue. Please note there is no bag storage on venue, so you'll have to keep your bag with you for the duration of your mission. Volunteers will be allowed to bring a small amount of food onto venue. You'll be permitted with food for your own personal consumption, but please note there is no food storage on venue. Volunteers may bring up to 500 millilitres of liquid onto venue on non-match days. We ask you to please bring unbranded drinks containers only to venue. Water, tea and coffee will be provided on venue, and from the 2nd of June a limited amount of Coca-Cola products will be available each day to all volunteers from the Volunteer Centre.
Thanks, Lewis. As volunteers, you are the first impression of the tournament. Glasgow is one of the host cities, and you have the mission to make everyone's experience of this amazing city a positive one, including players. This next guest has never lost his passion for Glasgow, and he knows how to score at Hampden Park too. Jan Vennegoor of Hesseling, absolutely delighted to see you. Now, we are going to take you all the way back to 2006, because that was when you discovered the beautiful city of Glasgow and made your way here from PSV. What were your first impressions when you arrived in Scotland?
The first time I arrived in Scotland, it was in Edinburgh, because we had to do it a little bit secretly. They didn't want to put it out there with the signing and all. And I came in Edinburgh, drove to Glasgow, and then from the first minute on, I enjoyed my time in Glasgow and the people. And the people made Glasgow a little bit, and the people made football. And that is quite currently the situation also in football. No fans, and I don't like it.
I don't think many of us are enjoying that at the moment. You obviously played in some great stadiums up in Scotland. You were at Celtic Park. You got to play in those huge Old Firm games, of course, at Ibrox. And then there's Hampden as well, the National Stadium, somewhere that you played as well. Tell us about your experiences of that.
I had a couple of good experiences in Hampden Park. When you are going there, you know you're going to play a big game. So in that way, I always enjoyed playing in the other stadium. Of course, Celtic Park for me was the place to play, and with the 60,000 people. But Hampden Park was second.
And what was it like to score at Hampden? You scored both goals in the League Cup semi-finals, of course, against St Johnstone, didn't you?
Scoring at Hampden Park is always nice. I saw some footage just recently about the game, so it was always, for me, fun memories, especially when you stop playing football and you think about it. It's really, it's a nice memory.
What did you know about Scotland before you came here?
Of course, a lot of Dutch players already played in Scotland. I know the Old Firm already, of course. There wasn't a lot of convincing to do by the manager when he phoned me up when Celtic was on the line. That Old Firm, everybody knows it from the past, from a long time ago till even now. It's one of the biggest games in the world, and I think in that way Scotland is something special. I experienced it for 3 years. I really love the people. I always come back with a big smile. I always visit the country often. I didn't do it a lot lately, but due to Corona and before that, because I didn't watch a lot of games in Scotland, but I really like the country. And my daughter was also born there, so I have some personal, private things that connect me to Scotland too. So in that way, I don't want to be too romantic, but it always is in my heart.
So come on then, your daughter, will she be a Scotland fan, or does she support the Netherlands? Or a little bit of both?
She still says she wants to study at the university in Glasgow, so in that way she also has a big connection with it. And normally, if times are normal, we always travel back to Scotland and try to visit some friends and sometimes some games, and just to get the connection there.
And what was it like living in the city, around the people, around the fans, and around sort of the buzz and excitement at that time?
outside the rain, it was top, because the rain was there from, I don't know, September, October till April, but the people, like I said, the people make Glasgow a little bit, and in that way, I lived in the West End. I had a great time there. Had a lot of strolls down the park, Botanic Gardens, Aston Lane, Byers Road. I really enjoyed staying there because it took me a little bit out of football, and some nice shops and coffee places, and I really enjoyed being in Glasgow and also being in the West End. It gave me a little bit of peace, and sometimes when I go back, I also stay in the West End to get the feeling back a little bit.
During your club career, you were playing for your country as well, proudly representing the Netherlands and playing in big tournaments in your quite long spell representing them. And you played under Marco van Basten as well. What are your memories of playing for your country and the feelings that invoked?
Yeah, for me it was a little bit special. It's always special to play for your Dutch team, but Marco van Basten was the manager then when he invited me to the World Cup in 2006, and he was kind of my idol. So in that way, it was really special because you get an invite to play the World Cup, and a manager that really sees it in you. If I look at the tournaments that I played in, 2006, the World Cup, in 2008, the Euros. It's just a great experience. One thing is, I was a striker, and in Holland we have a lot of good strikers. So in that way, I knew my place, and I didn't play a lot of minutes during the World Cup and the Euros, but I played in it, and in that way, I cherish that because. To explain you a little bit, you are together the whole year, you qualify, but then you get together, and you're like 6 weeks every day together. In the morning, at night, you wake up, you have orange juice with each other, you breakfast with each other, and at night you go to bed, and the whole day you are with each other for 6 weeks. So in the end, if you then get knocked out or something happened, you really get a bond with each other. And you can't really compare that with club football. You go home and you go back, but like end tournaments, you are really close connected to each other, and that makes it really special.
Mm-hmm. And tell me about the tournament this summer, how you think Holland are going to do and the group that you've got.
One big virtual is a doubt. So Daley Blind also is a doubt that he can play. Those are two key figures also for the Dutch team, I think. I think we have a good squad, a talented squad, some young players in, some experienced players with Wijnaldum, with Depay. I think if we look at the group stages where Holland are in, never underestimate, but yeah, it's a good chance that you can progress, I think, in this group. There are tough opponents, but I think if you are the Dutch team and you look at the names and you look at the quality, hopefully they continue into the next rounds, and I think so. They will have the confidence, and I think they will go through, and hopefully they can go all the way.
And as for Scotland, this will be their first major tournament, playing at the UEFA Euros 2020 in a very long time, decade, since 1998. What do you think their chances are, and will you secretly be hoping that they do well?
I watched Mr. Marshall stop the penalty, so in that way it brought me back some memories. I also played with him in the past at Celtic, and it's great for him to bring Scotland with the team to the Euros. And I must say, if I look at the group, it's a tough group. If you look at Croatia, if you look at the Czech Republic, if you look at those teams, Croatia with Vlasic, Perisic, Modric, some big names and tough opponent. And if you look at England, well, also with the quality. But on the other hand, I think Scotland, I think the whole country is behind them, and I think everything they will do, they cannot fail in that way. So they need to give everything, and maybe, yeah, look for a surprise somewhere down the road.
It'll be a lovely surprise as well. What about what you're doing right now? Because you're working still in football, you're working as a scout, you're obviously helping find these new exciting talents of the future. Who are the ones to watch for the tournament this summer?
For me, I have some interesting names, of course. If you look at talents, and you already talk about like world stars like Mbappé, but he's not a talent, but still he's really young. So in that way, you look at players like that. You also look at players like Foden, all kinds of players that you think are really interesting. Pedri from Spain, Gil from Spain. If you look at the Dutch team, you have Gravenberg, you have Donja Malen. The nice thing of my work is I can watch those players when they're already 15, 16 years old, and they become really grown men, and they can prove themselves on a big stage, on a big podium. And that's why I have a great job, because I can watch the new talents of the future. And for me, it's also a thing that I look at and say, well, we saw that player and now he's there, and can you see his development? Yeah, for me as a scout, as a football man, it's great to watch those tournaments, because yeah, that's the crème de la crème, and you want to see that, and it's nice that you put talents on that podium.
Absolutely. We've got lots of talent who are going to be volunteering, of course, at the Sunwest tournament. So for those volunteers at Euro 2020, if they want to maybe get into scouting, what advice would you give to any of these volunteers who might want to follow in the career path that you are now in?
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you one thing: you don't have to be a professional footballer to be into football. The thing is, be open, be visible, try to learn, be proactive. I have so many clear people around me that also worked their way into football, not because they were a football player, but because they had knowledge and they had a lot of good other view on football. And in that way, believe in yourself. It's sometimes really easy. You don't work hard and believe in yourself, and then be proactive, and then you can come a long way.
Thank you very much indeed. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us. Sorry you're just not here in Glasgow with us.
Yeah, hopefully we get a nice tournament with Scotland coming far and Holland just coming a little bit early.
There are a number of other UEFA locations around Glasgow that volunteers will be on mission. If you are a VIP hotel operations volunteer or a VIP hotel welcome desk volunteer, your main mission location will be at the UEFA hotel. The volunteer management team will share the location of the UEFA hotel with all volunteers who will be on mission at this location. You will receive more detailed information at your role-specific training about the hotel and services available. Your mission meal will be provided for you at the UEFA hotel. There will be no pedestrian screening in place at the UEFA hotel, but please note that the venue will be highly secured and your accreditation must be worn at all times. You will also be required to submit the EPA form prior to starting each mission. Parking is not available at the UEFA hotel. If you are an Airport Welcome Services volunteer, your main mission location will be at Glasgow Airport. More information will be shared with Airport Welcome Services volunteers regarding security procedures and entry points for your mission at the airport. Your mission meal will be provided for you at the airport. Your accreditation must be worn at all times. You will also be required to submit the EPA form prior to starting each mission. Parking will be available at the airport, and more information about this will be shared via email. If you are a Fleet Depot volunteer or volunteer driver, your main mission location will be at the Fleet Depot.
If you are a Fleet Depot volunteer or volunteer driver, your main mission location will be at the Fleet Depot. There will be no PSA in place at the Fleet Depot, but your accreditation must be worn at all times. You will also be required to submit the EPA form prior to starting each mission. Your mission meal will be provided for you at the stadium on non-match days. A shuttle service will be provided to bring you to and from the stadium for your mission meal. On match days, lunch will be delivered to the Fleet Depot for all volunteers on mission. On-street parking will be available at the Fleet Depot, and more information about this will be shared via email.
All volunteers will soon receive an invitation to collect your uniform and accreditation. Please do not attend the accreditation centre until invited. You will be turned away unless you are scheduled to attend. Everyone who enters the stadium who does not have a ticket will require an accreditation. An accreditation is an access device that gives its holder the right to access zones within the UEFA Euro 2020 venues for volunteering or working purposes. Accreditation ensures and facilitates that only identified event staff have access to the assigned areas within UEFA venues and stadiums. The accreditation team collects, verifies and manages required personal data of event staff, volunteers and service providers, and operates the Venue Accreditation Centre, supported by accreditation volunteers. You will all receive an accreditation access device, which will look something like this. On your accreditation, you will see your name, a clear picture of you, and a defined number of zones relevant to your assigned role. Your accreditation card is your venue passport. You must wear your accreditation to every mission and keep it on throughout your mission. Do not wear your accreditation pass outside the venue. Take it off and put it somewhere secure once you have finished your mission. Accreditation contributes to the safety and security of the event, capturing individuals' data and making it available to a background screening process. Accreditation helps ensure smooth operations, enabling the legitimate people to access the areas where they are performing their role, preventing people without an operational function to interfere in venue operations. Your accreditation card is not a ticket to a spectator seat, a sign of social status, a management tool, or a gift or item for resale. Please keep it safe at all times. The venue will be divided into 9 zones. Your role and accreditation dictates what zone you need access to. Only go to areas where you have a requirement or purpose. Some zones will be activated only on match day and match day -1. Therefore, you may notice some changes while you are on mission. Please ensure you follow signage and directions of your domain manager and security. Supplementary access devices and additional access devices are needed to access specific areas within a zone during specified times on match days. If you require one for your role, you will be given one by your domain manager. Please respect the direction of security and always show your accreditation when asked to do so while on mission. If you arrive on venue and have forgotten your accreditation, you will be unable to access the venue. Please return home and get your accreditation. If there is not enough time for you to return home and collect your accreditation before your mission, please contact the volunteer management team and/or your domain manager. If you have lost your accreditation or you suspect it has been stolen, please report it missing as soon as possible to the Venue Accreditation Centre. The Accreditation Centre is outside of the outer security perimeter. Your accreditation must be picked up in person. Please only collect your accreditation when invited to do so. Ensure you bring the ID document used for your application and the confirmation email or SMS received from the UEFA Euro 2020 accreditation team.
A key characteristic for any good volunteer is to show a passion for what you're representing, and with a career off the pitch, now as a player agent, this next guest knows how to do just that. I am delighted to say I'm now joined by a man who knows this city, Glasgow, very well, knows Hampden Park very well, former Rangers player Pedro Mendes, and of course knows UEFA Euro 2020 very well, because the Euros is something that Portugal are defending, and that is of course who Pedro represented. Your first international game, I believe, was against Scotland. Do you remember that?
Yes, in Braga, rainy day. I think it was to get used to the weather. So it was raining a lot. And yeah, it was my first cap. I was happy I was playing Vitória de Guimarães at the time. And it was a surprise for me to be in the national team, but I was delighted with that as well.
So your nation are the defending champions in this tournament. It must be quite special for you, the Euros and everything that Portugal's achieved, and actually still a very, very strong side heading into this summer.
Well, as a small country that we are very proud and for the amount of quality of players that develop in our country. And if you look at our national team and you see the quality that we have, players that play best teams around the world. And you look at our side and you can see and you can feel that you can fight against anyone, you know. So for some or for most of the people, it was a surprise in the achievement in 2016. But for us, it wasn't a surprise. So we go very confident for this Euro Cup now.
And what about Ronaldo? Do we think this is actually a special summer for him because it could be his last major tournament, couldn't it?
Well, you never know. He's still so fit, you know, and he still wants to achieve so much. So we never know when he thinks. It's up with him, actually. To be fair with you, it's up with him when he thinks it's time to stop. But for sure, we want him 100% top of his capability to be fit, because our team rely on him a lot.
Mm. And what about the hopes for this summer with the youngsters that you've got coming through and some of these very experienced players in Ronaldo and some of the old heads? Do you think, yet again, it's another really good time because you have that blend of youth and experience?
Yeah, we have a very interesting balance in the team. You know, you have João Felix, you have Diogo Jota that you know very well in Liverpool, and then you have Bernardo Silva, and alongside them you have Ronaldo, you have Pep that's playing fantastic this season with 37 years old. You have Rui Patricio, goalkeeper, a lot of experience. So it's a blend that works, you know, and it's very important for these young talents and young players coming into the national team and have someone in the national team for years and the experience of all these players that could help them to settle and be more comfortable for them to settle in the national team and get used to this type of.
You're a player agent now, doing that side of things in terms of business. How hard is it during a tournament when you're trying to do deals, but players are involved with their countries? And of course, if they're having a great tournament, their stock goes up, doesn't it? Is this a really tricky time for you during sort of a summer period?
Some deals already starting to move or start talks before the Euro. We try to close it as soon as possible before the players go to the Euro with the head clean and nothing else in their mind, apart of being part of the national team and playing the Euro. But doing the Euro is just you want your clients to do well, your players to do well, your team, your country to do well, and after the Euro, the busy stuff starts again. But doing the Euro is quite quiet, to be fair.
Mm. And what's it like if you're an agent and you're representing lots of different players and they're playing for their countries? Because you're going to want them to do well, of course, because you are representing them. But then as somebody who is proud of your own country, wanting Portugal to do well. But there's all these associations, aren't there, with lots of different nations, depending on who you represent.
Well, I want my players all the time to do well, but I want my country all the time to win. So I don't mind if they play against Portugal, if they can play really, really well, but I want Portugal to win all the time. There's no doubt about that.
What do you think Portugal's chances are of potentially defending this summer successfully? And do you feel a lot more pressure now that you have won it, of course, previously?
Well, the pressure is always there. For a team like Portugal, the pressure is always there. But we are in a strong group. So we have our chances, but we know will be difficult. Our group is strong, so let's see how it goes.
Now, one of the reasons you're here today speaking to us is because we have an amazing group of volunteers. There's a lot of hard work put in by people behind the scenes. How important is it to someone like you to know that you have these people that are there at Hampden to keep everybody safe, to keep people in check, to make sure that the tournament and a match day runs as smoothly as possible, putting everything together and really rooting for a tournament to go well?
Well, if you are a player or a management team or any team staff, you want everything to go well, of course. And as a player, as the staff point of view, you don't want any hassle for the players. You just want the players to be focused on the game and what they have to do. So of course we rely in the volunteers and the hard work of all those people that do the job behind the curtains, if you can say like that. So everything goes well. So a lot of praise to all those people that are involved in all this hard work, because sometimes it's hard. There's a lot of work to do. And of course, they deserve a thankful word for them.
Mm. And what do you make of Hampden Park in terms of a stadium and somewhere that's going to host such exciting games?
Well, I like Hampden, to be fair with you. It's quite my first time at Hampden actually was to see a U2 concert. It was not to play. But it's an open stadium. It's like more a European style stadium, not quite a English or British stadium. It's quite open with the track around the pitch. But it's a nice ground to play.
And what about the city itself, Glasgow? What did you enjoy about the city? What did you remember of your time?
Well, I remember the first day, rained a lot. And actually apparently the summer finished in July because I arrived in August and I didn't see the sun for a long time. But it was an amazing city. It was really, really well received for everyone. I still have friends there. I still go to Glasgow every time I can. It's such a welcome city and people that I have Rangers supporters, Celtic supporters that receive me, my neighbours receive me really, really well. And then the weather you get used to. So I really enjoyed to live there.
And just finally, who do you think's going to win it this summer? If you were to have a bit of a, I know you want Portugal. Obviously, we up here are rooting for Scotland. Could there be a dark horse winning it? What do you think? Will there be surprises because of the way that this year's gone? Everything's been a bit unpredictable.
I don't think it will be any. I don't think it will be surprises. To be fair, of course, I want Portugal to go as far as possible and win it. But if Portugal goes to the final, I think is a big achievement for us. But I think it will be Portugal, of course. Portugal, Germany, very strong squad. Germany. France is still, you never know what to count with France. Sometimes they play really, really well. Sometimes it's difficult to explain how a team like them sometimes they play the way they play. England, but I think it'll be between Germany, Portugal, France, and I think England can have a chance this year also.
Pedro, what about Scotland?
Well, I'll try to be. You want to be honest in this interview, right?
You can go with your heart if you like, instead of your head.
The ideal final with Portugal, Scotland. Okay. Okay. I just if Scotland goes through the group stage, I think it will be a good achievement for them. We need to be fair with them.
Yeah.
So they are also in a strong group. England and Croatia, right? So so if they go through the group stage, I think it will be good for them.
We'll take that. Pedro?
No disrespect.
Yeah. Thank you very much indeed for your time. It's been a pleasure hearing from you, and yeah, all the best of luck with the business side of things, getting the deals wrapped up before the summer, and enjoy the tournament wherever you're watching.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thanks so much to Pedro for giving up his time for that interview. Before you leave home for your mission, there are a few key points to remember. Remember to wear your accreditation. No accreditation will mean no entry. Wear your volunteer uniform. The uniform reveal is coming up shortly, where we will give you an exclusive preview of the volunteer uniform for UEFA Euro 2020. Wear a mask. Remember, masks or face coverings must be worn on venue unless you are exempt, and we advise wearing a mask while travelling to the venue. Complete your EPA form before arriving on venue. We want you to be the best and have the best time on mission, so please ensure you are well rested and have something to eat and drink before leaving home. Finally, make sure you plan your journey and allow enough time to travel to your mission location, remembering that it may take longer than usual on match days and other peak commuter times. No parking is available at the stadium for the duration of the tournament. We strongly discourage any volunteers from driving to the stadium. Parking in the surrounding area is very limited, and further strict parking restrictions will be in place on match days and covers a significant distance from the stadium. Where possible, we would encourage active travel to the venue. However, please note there is no bicycle parking available at the stadium. If you do cycle to venue, please note you will have to park your bike out with the venue at a suitable location. Free train travel is available for all volunteers while on mission from the 13th of May for the duration of the tournament. Free train travel is available within the SPT zone card area as shown on the map here, and is also available to view online at the link shown. The nearest train stations are Mount Florida and Kings Park Station. Both are between a 10 and 12 minute walk to the venue. There are a number of public bus routes which service the Hampden area. Once within the stadium vicinity, you will be able to check in using your V-app. When you arrive at the stadium, enter using the relevant entry point as presented earlier. Don't worry, the volunteer management team will communicate the correct entry points again via email to you before your first mission. You will have your temperature checked and then pass through security where relevant. Your accreditation will be scanned on entry. Please note your accreditation will be declined if you have not completed the EPA form prior to arrival. Once through security, make your way to the volunteer centre to pick up your face masks. All volunteers will receive 5 disposable face masks per mission day. Some days on venue, the volunteer management team may also have a surprise for you. Look out for the email notifications from the team and drop in and see us to collect your surprise. While in the volunteer centre, please check your V-app for information about your meal for that day. The V-app tells you what meal is available to you and when for each day. Please speak to a member of the volunteer management team if you cannot see any meal vouchers in your V-app before you head out on mission. You must then make your way to your domain meeting point for your mission briefing. Domain meeting points and how to get there will be shown to you when you attend your role-specific training sessions. Your domain manager will advise you if you need to collect any kit for your mission and where to do so. Once checked in, report to your domain manager at the designated meeting point as indicated at your role-specific training. Your domain manager will give you a short briefing each day covering key information about your mission and what is happening on venue that day. The UEFA EURO 2020 Bistro will be open from the 19th of May. If you have missions before this date, we will let you know by email where and how to get your meal while on mission. The bistro will be open between 12 PM and 3 PM each day from the 19th of May and will serve a hot meal box on non-match days for the duration of the tournament. On match days, a cold meal will be provided and the bistro will be open at times dependent on the kick-off. Your accreditation will be scanned when you collect your meal. Please note, if you have not checked in via the V-app or manually with the volunteer management team that day, your meal voucher will not be activated. A meat or fish and vegetarian option will be available as standard. If you see anything that might harm wildlife or people, such as broken glass, litter or spills, report it to your team leader or a radio user immediately. Recycling and general waste bins are available around Hampden. Please follow guidance at these stations to split waste and rubbish into the following streams. Green for recyclable products, orange for compostable products, and black for general waste. There is a space available within the volunteer centre where you can have a quiet break or use for religious observance. Male, female and accessible toilets are available at Hampden Park and all mission locations. Temporary toilets are available at the volunteer centre. You may use spectator toilets in front of house areas, however, where possible, please use workforce toilets back of house. Accessible facilities are available throughout the stadium. If you have been using any kit while on mission, please return it before leaving venue. Do not take items of kit home with you. Let your domain manager know you are leaving and then check out using your V-app. You must get your accreditation scanned on exiting the venue by a member of security. Please consider letting a friend or family member know when you are leaving the venue to go home, especially if your mission has a late finish. If your mission finishes late and you cannot use public transport to get home, please speak to your domain manager.
We hope you're enjoying the kickoff so far and you're starting to get excited about coming to the stadium. Now, many of us haven't been to a major event in quite some time, and this certainly applied in football terms to the Scotland team until now.
55 teams began the journey. 4 playoff winners complete the 24-nation lineup. Who will be crowned Kings of Europe at UEFA Euro 2020?
Delighted to have you, John McGinn, proudly wearing your Scotland shirt. It must feel like a really, really special time for you right now.
That is, I think, for every Scottish player, whether you've been capped or whether you're sort of on the periphery playing well in Scotland, it's just so exciting, and a feeling I don't think any of us have had for a long, long time. So since that night in Belgrade, it's been sort of building and getting closer, and the countdown app on my phone's getting lower and lower, and the date of the first game's getting closer, and it's just an exciting time for everyone, and personally can't wait.
How special is it knowing that Scotland have finally qualified for a major tournament and you're going to play your games at Hampden?
Yeah, that's actually, it's extra special for me personally. I don't know if I'm speaking for the whole Tartan Army, but I was at the Holland playoff game, the Italy game, and Hampden just makes Scotland games feel that extra wee bit special. I know circumstances might make it a little bit different this time, but we can just showcase what an amazing city and country we've got, and hopefully it can give us a wee boost going into the games as well.
Yeah, just sum up what it's like on a match day, the atmosphere, particularly around Hampden for the fans, and what the volunteers are going to be expecting on a special day.
Yes, it's a bit strange when you first experience Hampden on a match day. You go in underneath. Well, this is from a player's point of view. You go in underneath loads of supporters outside the ground, and then you meet the bagpipe players warming up. So you just get a wee bit patriotic going into the dressing room and just getting a buzz. And I think everyone about the place is just so positive and happy to be there. And I was lucky enough to go to the Commonwealth Games, one of the athletics events at Hampden, and just the whole buzz about the place. Everyone was so proud to be Scottish, and a wee bit jealous of the volunteers. Maybe they can enjoy it more than we can. The phrase is people make Glasgow, so hopefully we can go and prove that.
Tell me what it feels like to have been part of such a great team spirit as well, building up to this tournament.
Yeah, it's so nice at the minute. I think when I first joined the squad, there was a lot of, I wouldn't even say unrest. I think there was a lot of times where people pulled out and maybe injuries that at the moment players are playing through, and it should always be the case. But now it's just such a nice feeling. The team spirit, it's sort of like a club football dressing room. The manager's been first class in making sure that happens. And when the fixtures come around, it's exciting. You get to go home, speak normally. Everyone can understand you. Everyone's sort of the same, no egos. And I think it's so nice to be involved in that setup. And when a little bit of success comes your way, it makes it even more special. And you'll never forget who you play with Scotland. You'll be friends for life, and that's just the way it feels at the minute.
And what about when Scotland play England? Obviously, you're playing down in England now. You're around other players who are going to be supporting, you know, a team in your group that you'll desperately be wanting to beat for so many reasons.
Well, Haley, you'll know the exact feeling. The rivalry works both ways. I'm certainly outnumbered at Aston Villa. There's 6 or 7 of the starting 11 that could quite easily be playing for England at Wembley. So I think that game's extra special. I was lucky enough to be involved in the squad for the game where we lost 3-0 at Wembley. But just that whole day, the whole experience for me, didn't manage to make the bench, but just that experience made me hungry to go and be involved in an England-Scotland game and contribute. I think it's important for us now. We're playing that well as a team. We're showing that we can go and compete in an international stage. And when it comes to playing England, I'm sure we just need to leave everything on the pitch, make our country proud, and show them that it's not a country to be laughed at, because it does irk me, it does annoy me, and I'm sure it annoys the whole squad as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about how you feel with your teammates when you get together, in terms of, you've touched on it already, but the camaraderie, the family-like feeling and the bond that you all have when you're heading into such huge games against very tough opposition, Croatia, Czech Republic? Does it make these sides and their talent and you less fearful because you have such an amazing and quite special team spirit right now?
You're playing for your country. It's the sort of pinnacle of your footballing career, but meeting up with the boys is extra special at the moment. And if we can go and maybe replicate what Wales done in the last European Championships, we might get the same success and welcome back to Scotland as they had.
What do you think the other teams are going to think about Hampden and Glasgow when they arrive? That, you know, there'll be players that haven't played up in Scotland before, and in particular at the stadium, or even been to the city or know much about Glasgow.
Yeah, well, I think the initial feeling will be they won't want to come. They won't want to go and play against Scotland in their own backyard. But Hampden's got a reputation of the atmosphere, making it difficult for the opposition to play. And hopefully, even though at the moment we've only earmarked 12,500, but I'm sure whoever manages to get their hands on a ticket will make sure people realise that they're in Glasgow, and whether that's socially distanced or outside the stadium, if anything permits, then everyone will know they're in Glasgow. I'm sure whether it's Czech Republic or Croatia, we should maybe stick them in the travel lodge in the middle of the town and see how they enjoy that.
Must feel great heading into a tournament knowing you're in really great form. Fitness-wise, everything's good. Just fingers crossed. You just go carefully at Aston Villa, please. And you're scoring not just goals, but some fancy goals as well. How special would it be to score just any kind of goal in this group?
Honestly, there's no greater feeling than scoring a goal for your country, even when it's maybe not as important as another one. It certainly means the most. And if I could help the team I'm not really bothered if it's me that's scoring. Obviously, I've dreamed about scoring for Scotland in a major tournament since I can remember. But whether it's Ryan Christie, Shea McAdams, as he's now called, Lyndon Dykes, anyone, as long as we get the ball in the back of the net and get us into the knockout stages, it's the main thing. But really excited, and I'm sure I'm speaking for all the lads in that sense.
Absolutely. And just finally, you have touched on it with the volunteers, just how important the backroom staff are that work with you, the staff at Hampden Park and the volunteers who are going to be putting so much effort into proudly showing off their stadium and just what Scotland and Glasgow can do. And it doesn't go unnoticed by you, does it?
That doesn't. I think Frank Rayleigh, the team manager, is amazing at letting us know the team behind the team. We're all on first name terms now with the backroom staff, whether that's coaches, media staff. It's just an amazing environment, and hopefully we can bring the volunteers into that and show that, yeah, we might have a wee bit of a profile as players, but we're still normal guys, we're Scottish, and everyone gets on the same. So the volunteers are just as important as us to show that we are capable of hosting an event like this, and hopefully, don't tell your bosses that we're saying that, but hopefully they can enjoy the experience. But hopefully this can be a highlight of what has been a difficult year and a half.
Absolutely. And finally, what are you most looking forward to at UEFA Euro 2020?
Well, I'm looking forward to, first and foremost, I'm looking forward to get a roll and square sausage when we meet up. But after that, I think just the whole build-up will be amazing. Obviously, we'll be advised to kind of ignore that and focus on the games. But when it's been over 20 years, it would be naive of me to suggest that I won't be kind of keeping an eye on people enjoying the festivities and the atmosphere building. So for me, that will be the favourite thing. And once the first whistle goes in the first match, then it's serious mode. And it might be a wee bit emotional, the first national anthem, because I can just picture all the pubs in Clydebank, Glasgow, Fife, wherever. The lobby is full as what the restrictions allow. And hopefully everyone can enjoy the experience of a major tournament, and hopefully we can make the country proud.
Now it's back to Lewis to find out a bit more about the Volunteer Centre.
Thanks, Hayley. The Volunteer Centre, as shown on the map, is located at the north-east side of the stadium opposite Tory Glen Football Centre. The Volunteer Centre is a temporary structure in place exclusively for the tournament and sits within the OSP and is only accessible with your accreditation. The opening times of the Volunteer Centre are shown here. A steward will be present throughout the opening hours to regulate the capacity of the Volunteer Centre, and you'll only be granted access with your accreditation. The Volunteer Centre will be the hub for all volunteers. You'll need to visit every day you are on mission to collect your masks and Coca-Cola products. If you have any issues logging in using the V-app, you can also get assistance with checking in at the Volunteer Centre. The volunteer management team will be based here, so please make sure you say hello when you are in each day. The Volunteer Centre will also be where a number of role-specific training sessions will take place, where you will collect your uniform and where you will receive help and support throughout the tournament. The Volunteer Centre will have a limited capacity, which will be managed by a COVID steward. There will be a number of COVID mitigation measures in place to keep all of our volunteers safe. Please always wear a mask and maintain 2 metre social distancing when visiting the Volunteer Centre. We also ask for your patience when visiting the Volunteer Centre. There will be a number of volunteers assisting the volunteer management team. Please keep in mind this will be one of the first major sporting events since the pandemic started, and we ask for your understanding and patience in terms of procedures and protocols. So what we all want to know is what you will be wearing. You'll be picking up your uniform from the Volunteer Centre. Here is a sneak peek. be invited to collect your uniform at the same time as you collect your accreditation. Please do not show up to collect your uniform unless invited to do so. Please do not modify your uniform in any way other than necessary size alterations, such as trouser length. You must wear your uniform for every mission on venue. Please arrive on mission already dressed in your volunteer uniform, as limited changing facilities exist. When leaving the venue, if you have made plans to go out socialising, please ensure you bring a change of clothes and change once you have left the venue. Mobility makers will have the same uniform with the addition of the Volkswagen logo on the chest and Mobility Maker on the back to ensure you are easily identifiable to spectators. Guest management volunteers and airport welcome services volunteers will also receive a VIP uniform in addition to your UEFA volunteer uniform. Your domain manager will communicate what days the VIP uniform is required to be worn. Please note there will be a uniform alteration service provided at one of your role-specific training sessions. Formal shoes are not provided as part of the VIP uniform, but please be advised that dark coloured shoes are preferred. The volunteer uniform is provided by Adidas. Please do not wear branded items from other sport brands whilst on mission. Always follow the garment's care instructions. For items such as jacket, hoodie and backpack, please consider putting your name or initials on an internal label so you can easily identify your items. Your uniform is yours to keep after the tournament and wear whenever you like.
Now, your uniform is one of a kind and will be a piece of football history, just like the tournament trophy. Let's look at its journey over the last 60 years.
Every grain of those pixelated pictures tells a story of former glory. I've felt it. The touch of legends as they held me aloft in front of their adoring fans. I've seen it. The emotion in the eyes as their warm gaze bore into my etched soul. I've heard it through the screams and the noise, the whispers of their pounding hearts. Fairy tale finishes and dreadlock kings, French maestros, the Spanish domination, and the Portuguese resurgence. I've witnessed it all, embraced by them all, cheered with them all. 60 years and 15 editions later, my epic adventure continues. 2020 wasn't meant to be, as the world faced a terrible reality. Another year has rolled over, and the Euro now beckons. Finally, I'm back on centre stage. Let the spotlight shimmer on the true heroes, our champions of the hallowed turf and beyond. I ache to hear, feel, and see the same magic once again. The wait, our wait, is finally over.
As a representative of UEFA Euro 2020 of our National Football Association and our city, we expect you to provide a memorable experience to all of our guests. Due to the scale and complexity of the tournament, we appreciate your cooperation and flexibility even more.
Our commitment. We will provide a safe and secure environment for all volunteers while providing equal opportunity for all. For this special edition of the Euro, UEFA would like to integrate the population of Europe with this programme and also create a legacy with a Euro for Europe. It is our ambition to create sustainability in regard to volunteering within sport. We want to offer volunteers an unforgettable experience so that you in turn can transport a positive image of football, UEFA and Euro 2020 volunteer programme. We'll provide you with the training, the kit and the tools you need in order to carry out your role to support you and help making this the best Euro event.
Your commitment. We understand that the time you provide to the UEFA Euro 2020 volunteer programme is invaluable to the tournament. We would like to ask all volunteers to respect the time commitment that was detailed in your role offer. Notify us as soon as possible about any changes affecting your availability. We ask that you turn up when scheduled, but when it is not possible, that you let us know as soon as possible so we can give as much notice to volunteers who can assist to fill your slot for the day. We ask you to please plan sufficient time for your journey to your venue and allow for time to pass through the pedestrian screening areas and volunteer centre as required. We want to see excellent team spirit and strong interpersonal skills and have a consistent point of email and phone contact so that we can keep in touch. We require your discretion and confidentiality where applicable and to act responsibly while carrying out your role and always be respectful of others. Wear your uniform and accreditation at all times during all of your missions. Only come to the venue on the days you are scheduled to complete a training, a mission, or with our permission. Attend all your trainings to perform to the very best of your ability. Make your own arrangements for travel and accommodation, including any car parking that you may need.
Respect behaviour and conduct. As a volunteer, you will play a key role in the success of UEFA Euro 2020. Please behave appropriately. No one should verbally or physically abuse or mistreat any player, spectator, staff member, visitor, guest or other volunteer. Individuals have the right to be treated with consideration, dignity and respect, regardless of their status or function. Every individual is responsible for their own behaviour towards another and should understand UEFA view that harassment will not be tolerated. We respect each other and the football family overall. Unacceptable behaviour or language will be dealt with your volunteer manager and may result in us cancelling your accreditation and removing you from your role.
Discrimination and harassment. Harassment may involve action, behaviour, comment or physical action which is found objectionable or which causes offence. Harassment can take many forms and may be directed against people because of a number of factors such as age, gender, sexual orientation, race, physical or mental disability, religion or some other characteristic. The volunteer management team will investigate any allegations of discrimination, harassment or bullying, and if the allegations are found to be true regarding a volunteer, then they will be asked to leave the volunteer programme. In the event of any volunteer experiencing the above, they should report this to the volunteer management team or their domain manager, who will deal with their allegation sensitively. Where appropriate, the team will refer the allegation to the HR department.
Cultural awareness. UEFA Euro 2020 will bring together players, officials, spectators, staff, volunteers, visitors, media and guests with a range of cultural and language backgrounds. UEFA Euro 2020 staff and volunteers are expected to consistently demonstrate a high standard of customer service when dealing with people regardless of their background. Please always treat volunteers, staff, guests, VIPs, visitors, spectators and players with respect.
Stadium facilities and property. UEFA is responsible for ensuring the stadium and all other venues are returned in the same state prior to handover, including its assets. We ask that you are efficient and economical and care and protect all assets while volunteering for UEFA Euro 2020. This covers all consumables, equipment, including but not confined to items such as stationery, communication devices, computers, office equipment and sports equipment. We also ask that all UEFA equipment is returned after each mission in order for it to be available for the volunteers who are next on mission. UEFA Euro 2020 property is not to be removed from a venue or to be used for personal or private use unless otherwise authorised by a domain manager.
Uniform. All UEFA Euro 2020 volunteers are provided with one uniform kit. Volunteers are responsible for the care and safekeeping of their uniform items. Uniform should only be worn when on mission and when travelling to and from the venue. Volunteers should not make any alterations to the uniform that significantly change the design of the intended item. Once the tournament is over, the volunteers can keep the uniform.
Personal belongings and storage. There will be no supervised storage on venue. UEFA, the Scottish FA and other venue owners will not assume the responsibility for the loss, theft or damage to your personal belongings. Leave all of your valuable personal belongings at home.
Confidential information. It is possible that you might be given or will have access to personal or confidential information. It is really important that you do not discuss or disclose that information to anyone other than the person authorised to receive it, both during and after your involvement with the tournament. Do not share any confidential information with third parties, including on social media.
Being on venue. UEFA Euro 2020 expects you to behave professionally at all times. If you travel to and from the tournament in your uniform, you will be highly visible as a representative of the tournament. Therefore, you must act in a professional manner at all times. Be committed and friendly, and where you can, show great customer service to all members of the football family.
COVID protocol. Respect all COVID-19 mitigation measures whilst on venue and always follow the government guidelines. If in doubt, please ask.
Social media. Football is a global passion, and as European football's governing body, UEFA is constantly in the public eye. Representing UEFA is a privilege and something to be proud of, but we also need to remember that this comes with responsibilities. UEFA advises that you make sure you are aware of the following. Make sure the information on social media platforms is 100% accurate. Be aware that you are a representative of UEFA. Use common sense when posting content, including comments, likes, shares and retweets. Think carefully before discussing your volunteering at UEFA or the organisation on social media. Don't post match footage of UEFA competition matches. Do not share photos of your accreditation on social media under any circumstances. Do not talk to media or undertake any media interviews or appearances before speaking to your volunteer manager. If you are approached to speak to the media, you must direct them to the volunteer manager, who will then touch base with the UEFA media and PR team. Full details of our social media policy will be shared with you.
Player and VIP approaches. Do not ask or attempt to ask for any pictures or autographs of players or guests.
Drugs and alcohol. Please do not be under the influence of alcohol or drugs during a mission.
Brand protection. Do not engage in any unauthorised use of UEFA's intellectual property rights, including the sale and purchase of counterfeit products or unauthorised advertising and promotional activities related to UEFA Euro 2020. This also includes unauthorised sales of merchandise, food and beverages and tickets.
Sustainability. Recycle, recover, reuse and reduce. UEFA aims to apply principles of sustainable event management in order to contribute to the Climate Action Initiative and protect the environment.
Filming and rights. Whilst undertaking your role, you may be photographed, filmed or recorded for media purposes and behind the scenes footage of UEFA Euro 2020. This information is included in depth in your volunteer agreement.
Issue resolution. Your domain manager will be your main point of contact should you have any issues or complaints. Should you not feel comfortable discussing any issue with your domain manager, please come and speak to any member of the volunteer management team.
Gifts and gratuities. The Scottish FA and UEFA expects all volunteers to conduct themselves with integrity, impartiality and honesty at all times. Volunteers should be aware that gifts and hospitality offered by contractors, suppliers, service providers and others may place you in a vulnerable position. Even when offered and accepted, in innocence, others may misconstrue the intention behind such gifts. Should you be unsure, then please ask a member of the volunteer management team.
No smoking or vaping. Smoking and vaping is not permitted anywhere on venue.
Gambling. Please do not place or facilitate any bets related to the tournament.
Criminal or illegal activity. Any volunteer found to be engaging in criminal or illegal activity will be reported to the police.
Selling or canvassing on venue. You must not engage in personal business or other interests during scheduled missions. This includes the display of posters, leaflets and catalogues or approaching colleagues or spectators in relation to these activities. In addition, you must not sell or attempt to sell any of your uniform or recognition items.
Restricted zones. Whilst on venue, do not enter or attempt to enter restricted areas without proper permission.
Thanks, Emma. Technology is now a massive part of everyday life and even football. The Volunteer app will be an essential for you and your missions.
Hi there, congratulations! You're part of the volunteer team and it's time to get ready. We have built something for you, the V app. This app will be mandatory for your mission. Therefore, please download it onto your smartphone and start exploring. Through the app, you will be able to see your up-to-date mission plan, complete your clock-in and communicate with the volunteer management team. When you launch the app, the first thing you'll discover is your mission plan on the main page. With your volunteer calendar in your pocket, there's no risk of forgetting about your next mission. When you start your shift, clock in to let us know you're here and ready to start. This is really important for the smooth running of operations. You simply need to activate your location services in your settings so you can clock in wherever your mission is located, stadium, airport or city centre. If you can't attend a shift or are running late, please call the Volunteer Centre. The V app will be the fastest way to get in touch with us. Once your mission is finished, clock out to let us know you have left for the day. Throughout the event, the V app will inform you about any changes we could make to your calendar. So don't wait any longer. Download the V app and make your volunteer experience way easier. Thanks for your support and see you soon.
The main function of the V app is to communicate your volunteer missions. The V app allows you to view all your assigned missions in one place in a handy calendar view. The V app can also be used to check in and out of your missions, saving you wasted time queuing to check in on venue and allowing the volunteer management team to accurately track who is on venue. If you are unable to make a mission, the V app makes it easy to inform us. You will see an option in the V app saying "I can't make it," which then gives you the option to call the volunteer management team directly in just a few clicks. As mentioned earlier, you will be able to view your meal voucher for each day you are on mission. The V app will display the times that the UEFA Bistro is open to redeem your meal voucher. From time to time, extra missions may become available. The volunteer management team will publish these, and if you are available and would like to accept the extra mission, you can do so again in just a simple click. As mentioned in the video, we recommend enabling location services on your device you are using the V app. The check-in option is only activated once the app identifies you are within the vicinity of your mission location. App notifications can be deactivated, however we do recommend that you keep your notifications on to ensure that you are kept up to date with any changes to your mission schedule and extra missions if they do become available. If you have any app issues logging into your V app, please contact us as soon as possible by email.
La balle et le but est marqué par l'avancement.
Gol! Golazo de Marcelino!
Anastasi. Rete splendida, rete di Anastasi.
Here's Schwarzenbeck, here's Muller! Muller has scored. The West Germans are champions.
Now Panenka, and he scored it, and they've won it. Czechoslovakia are the new European champions.
Romanega with it, floated in there, goal!
And it's gone in! Platini!
Van Basten, oh! Tremendous goal! A great moment!
This is Phil Fort! Oh, it's in! It is simply a footballing fairy tale. The goalkeeper can't keep it out, and Germany have won it! Germany are the champions of Europe.
Trezeguet checks, and the world champions are the European champions!
The champions of Europe are Greece!
Torres is in here, and Fernando Torres!
for Spain. Jordi Alba, what a goal! They've done it. They've retained the title and create history.
Here comes Eder. Not got much help. Oh, he doesn't need any help. How about that?
60 years of the UEFA European Championship. Some of the best players in the world have lifted that trophy. Who will be next? Will it be Scotland? Well, we can be hopeful. But one man whose team is noted as one of the favourites to lift the trophy is here with us now. Well, I'm delighted to say we are joined by Roberto Martinez, who of course have his heart very much in Scotland, ex-Motherwell, married to a Scot, but manages the #1 team in the world, Belgium. How are you feeling ahead of this summer's tournament? Because of course, it's so close now, you can almost smell it, can't you?
Well, it is, Hayley, yes. I think it's been especially, almost that emotion has been building, especially in these Euros, because it was postponed for 12 months and that's never happened before. But I think we can see it now around the corner. It's great news to see that Glasgow is being confirmed and the local governments are working really well to try to allow fans to come back, which is probably the only thing that we were worried going into the Euros.
And how do you feel about watching Scotland at Hampden Park? Because it's a city you know very well, Glasgow, isn't it?
Well, I must admit, the first time I saw the Belgium national team playing international football was in Hampden Park. And I always felt that there is an incredible atmosphere where the national anthem with Flower of Scotland starts, and probably you get just live pipes playing. I must admit, this is the most beautiful almost environment for an international footballer to join a team. Because international football sometimes is difficult to get that connection. You don't work with your teammates too long. But then when you get into Hampden and the national anthem plays, it's quite a unique way of starting an international game. And I remember I was scouting Romelu Lukaku. I was the manager of Everton at that time. And the game that I came to watch was Scotland against Belgium. And who would have said that 7 years down the line, I would have been at Hampden as a manager of Belgium. And I must admit, Hampden is one of the stadiums to play international football.
Absolutely. And what about Glasgow as a city and Scotland as a whole? You moved to play for Motherwell and presumably maybe didn't know too much about Scotland. So what were your first impressions?
Well, I think obviously I'm Catalan. I was born in Catalonia and we connect really closely with the people in Scotland. We got the same, almost the same patriotism and the proud feeling towards our nation. And when I came to Scotland, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a real friendly feeling. Two wonderful places, Glasgow and Motherwell, very different, but the cosmopolitan aspect of Glasgow make it a really, really nice city to go and visit and feel part of it. Edinburgh, completely different, but a nice feeling as well. And obviously I couldn't stay in Scotland too long. So what I decided is to take a part of Scotland with me and I married Beth. It was a beautiful experience the first time I arrived in Scotland.
Absolutely. And how do you think Scotland are going to do in the Euros, and how do you want them to do? Because of course, there's going to be split loyalties in your family, isn't there? Imagine you guys end up playing each other. Goodness me.
It's always happened in our household, obviously, not just my wife. I think my wife is totally just committed to my team, I would say. But obviously, the father-in-law is completely different situation. He's a proud Scotsman, and it was difficult in our qualification games. He wasn't too happy after the score lines. But at that point, I realized that Scotland are very close of becoming a really exciting team. It's the first time I've seen so many young players playing in the Premier League and being important in the Premier League. You got the captain, Andrew Robertson, winning the Champions League. You got important players in Premier League clubs that they're fighting to get in Europe, that they play for Scotland. And it wasn't a surprise for me to see Scotland qualifying through the playoffs, even though you have to admit that was a really, really heroic way of doing it, and doing it in one of the most hostile atmospheres in Serbia. So I think the future is very bright, and Steve Clarke has got a real tactical flexibility and a way to get the best of this talent. And I will be always supporting Scotland as long as we haven't got them in front of us, clearly.
And how do you feel heading into the tournament? Do you have to go in with the mentality that we're going to win this, not just win our games one by one, that we are good enough to win this?
It's very difficult, Hayley. I think this is a tournament that you need to prepare yourself to expect the unexpected. We all know that we're still in the middle of a pandemic attack. That means that the uncertainty that you have in the camps, you need to be prepared to lose players. You need to be prepared to go into scenarios where you don't really know how the team is going to perform. We're facing two hosts in our group phase, which is very unusual or almost never happens. You could have a tournament that is hosted by one or two nations, but you very hardly play them both here. We played Denmark away from home, a team that we know well because we faced in the Nations League, but we expect a completely different level of performance, and the same in St. Petersburg with Russia. So we go into the idea of trying to enjoy it. We really got an incredible feeling of tournament football in the World Cup in Russia in 2018. We finished third, and I feel the squad is stronger, more experienced, and we got more options now. So we feel confident, but in the same way, I know that this is a tournament that is not going to be one favorite or something that you can predict. It's how you're going to adapt to it, how you're going to find the journey that is suited for you, and the unexpected level of this tournament will be very similar to 6 nations. I feel that they are ready to compete against anyone on the day.
And we head into Euro 2020 in 2021 with the world looking like a very different place. And the roles now that the volunteers are going to have to take on have become extremely complex. What would you say to the volunteers who are getting involved to take on sort of one of the most exciting but biggest challenges of potentially their lives?
First and foremost, it will be just give them a big thank you, because this is a wonderful responsibility to have to represent your city, to represent your nation, and then to be the first face and the first contact that any fan, any footballer, any person that is related in this tournament, they're going to have. And I'm looking back to my experiences and in World Cup in Russia. The volunteers, the first ones that they give a smile in your face, they make you feel welcome. And probably that's the first impression that you get of the tournament, but you get the lasting impression. I still even speak nowadays. My daughter came to watch 2 games, and the way that the volunteers help them to find the tickets, find the space around the stadium is something that she still thinks that's how everyone behaves in Moscow. And it's a wonderful responsibility to have, but this is a wonderful opportunity as well to enjoy the occasion, to be able to see the opportunity of selling your city and your nation through football, which is one of the most powerful weapons that we have in our society, and be people that you affecting the rest of the memories of millions of football fans that they'll be watching on TV, and they will be actually there in the stadium.
So they are a really important team behind the team. You've got your own team working around you as well, and someone that, of course, up here we know very well. And Sean Maloney is part of your backroom staff. How is your relationship heading into this Euros? Obviously, he's very much wanting his side that he is working for to do well, but that must be quite a unique situation.
It is, but he's a true professional. And in the other side is a very proud Scotsman. And I can only tell you that we were in camp. Actually, we were preparing our game when we had to follow live the playoff game of Scotland against Serbia, and he was jumping up and down, and it's just a genuine feeling. He's a very proud Scotsman that he represented the national team for over 60 times. And I had the pleasure just to have him as a player and have someone with incredible standards. And now as a coach, is such an impressive coach that is very, very important in our setup, and is someone that without a doubt one day is going to become a huge coach in his own way.
You have huge talent as well, of course, on the pitch. Some of the best players in the world are the Belgians and have been for quite some time. One of those, Kevin De Bruyne, one of the best players in the world at the moment, arguably. How do you coach and work with a player that already just has so much? How do you bring out a different element to him and try and sort of handle these big talents?
Well, I think it's fair to say probably Kevin De Bruyne is the best playmaker in world football at this present time. But what I would highlight is that he's got this incredible human quality behind the footballer. And in the last few days, we've seen the way that he expresses his view about the Super League and the way that he considers football as a way of competing, a way of growing and representing the teams and the nation and the values of the sport. And I think that would highlight what we have in our dressing room, probably the most talented generation in Belgium history, but they are really, really good people. And I think that's probably a side that many fans don't see. But these players are proud to represent the national team. They come, they are ambassadors of Belgian football. They leave the home and the comfort of home very young to go abroad, to develop, to become the world stars that they are. But when they come back, they never forget where they come from, what they represent, and how they can stimulate the next generation. And that's the joy that we have. Sensational footballers, but really good people that you can build a really exciting team to try to go into a major tournament like the Euros.
And finally, what are you most looking forward to about the tournament?
Well, I know I'm very boring with these sort of answers, because the reality is just I like to affect every single step that we're going to go into the most controlled manner. So all I'm looking is the game in St. Petersburg, our opening game against Russia, that we can be ourselves, that we can just perform in the best way that we can. We've been now 3 years number one in the world, and I think one thing is the consistency that you can have for the world rankings, but it's a completely different situation when you go at tournament football. And I hope that everyone can fulfill their talent, their role. They can enjoy the challenge of the expectations that we have in Belgium. You can understand in Belgium there is a lot of hope behind this Red Devils team, and what I wouldn't like is our players don't enjoy that excitement and expectation. So it's step by step. We only guaranteed 3 games, and all I'm looking forward is that we can be as good as we can in those 3 games, and then take it from there with the emotions that we always get from Belgium supporting this stimulating team back home.
Berto, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
Same wise, Haley. Thank you.
Thanks so much to Roberto for giving up his time for that interview. Complete your e-learning. New modules are released on Mondays, so please check for any new modules and complete as soon as possible. Your mission schedule. Please review your mission schedule as soon as you receive it. As just mentioned, you can view all of your missions in the calendar of your V app. If you have any issues, please contact the volunteer management team as soon as possible. If you have not yet received your mission schedule, please do not worry. Keep an eye on your emails, as we will notify you as soon as your mission schedule is available to view. Role-specific training. All volunteers will soon receive an invite to their assigned role-specific training. Role-specific training is an important part of your volunteer training and is where you will learn more about what you will be doing each day on venue. The volunteer management team will send you more information about your training session in your invitation.
Well, there you have it, the end of your volunteer kickoff. All the team here are absolutely thrilled to have you be part of it. We hope you're just as excited as we are to have this amazing tournament coming to our city. And, well, we can't wait to see you in June. Oh, but there's one last thing. You didn't think we'd forget, did you?
Hi guys, David Marshall here. Just wanted to thank you all for giving up your time to be part of the team behind our team. Can't wait to see all you guys in June. Cheers.
Christie! He's done it!